The Honorable Malema.
Thank you very much. Deputy President of the EFF and the leadership of the EFF, the people of South Africa, let me greet all those who agree that indeed our democracy to work, we need to hold the executive accountable. People of South Africa, let me begin by extending our deepest gratitude for the massive support shown for the national shutdown, which was held on the 20th of March 2023. The 20th of March marked one of the greatest national demonstrations post-1994, wherein thousands of our people registered their dissatisfaction of load shedding, unemployment, high levels of crime, gender-based violence, and lack of service delivery. Many of you affirmed the authority of the EFF to be superior to that of the President of South Africa and his entire cabinet combined by partaking in the shutdown because you cannot trust anything he and his government says. A majority of business remained closed, taxi ranks and buses were empty, no trains or trucks were moving on the day, and even load shedding was suspended due to low level of electricity demand, proving that major industries that uses electricity were not operational. The success and moral correctness of the national shutdown is proven by the fact that no one, not the state or the media, was able to dispute the logic for the national shutdown, and they all chose to attempt to divert and dilute its message by creating a myth of anarchy and destruction. We salute you for your support, and we salute you, all protesters, for their discipline and commitment to peaceful protest. We remain resolute on our demand for Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa to resign as the President of South Africa, and our people want reliable supply of electricity for their businesses, livelihoods, and for the economy to survive. The economic freedom fighters proved once more who is in charge in this country. When you said to business, is business as usual, open your shops, I said close. They closed. I'm in charge. I've got you by scrotum. There's nothing you can do, nothing. All of you combined. You can scream anyhow you want. Once more, I demonstrated to you black opposition, a white opposition with the ruling party combined. I'm in charge. And I want that to sink. You will tweet every day. You will call press conference every day. You will bring soldiers and police because the men in charge said shut down South Africa, and it was shut down. Whether you like it or not, in your cocoons, you are admitting that when the president speaks, that is a motion of no confidence, by the way. When the president speaks and say, open, I will protect you, they say, we can't trust you. They closed. Even this one of the dogs ran around everywhere saying, open, open, I'll protect you, but you never protect us any day. Why would you protect us today? They never listened to him. They closed. These ones ran to court and said, no, don't close. We have got an order, imaginary order. Cape Town, there won't be anything. Don't close. We're in charge here. Cape Town is ours. Cape Town is white. They can't do anything in the white area. They said to them, the business of Cape Town, we can't trust you. They closed because they knew who to trust. The economic freedom fighters established a motion of no confidence against the Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula. We did this because it has become clear that we are dealing with an unrepentant delinquent who abuses her power and violates the rule of the National Assembly and the Constitution. What we saw on the 9th of February 2023, when the Speaker called members of this House animals and violated the Constitution and the rules of the National Assembly when she allowed the police to invade Parliament, and made it worse by calling on the security forces of South Africa to enter the chambers to intimidate peaceful members of Parliament, is not something that we can take light. When the National Assembly convened a sitting for the presidency budget vote delivered by Mr. Ramaphosa in June 2022, we fearlessly stood up to demand that the only director of Ntabanyoni estate tells the country where he got the US dollars that were stolen at Palapala farm. She decided to generate and instruct the protection officer to assault members of parliament, including assaulting women members of parliament. Women members of parliament were also sexually assaulted because when they were being violently removed, beaten and pushed, their private parts were touched by men. We told the Speaker in the same sitting that this is happening, but she ignored us because her sole mandate is to protect Ramaphosa. Whenever Mr. Ramaphosa is being held accountable, she chooses violence. She chose to abuse her powers, violate the Constitution and the rules of the National Assembly. She is happy when we leave these chambers in the hands of men who are unashamed to violate women members of parliament, touch our private parts, and harass such that we end up in hospitals seeking medical treatment. It is this Speaker who denied a secret ballot vote on the establishment of the Section 89 committee into Palapala farm, despite members being threatened with removal by the ruling party should they decide to vote with their conscience. Ms. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula has entered the office of the Speaker with a predetermined agenda of protecting Mr. Ramaphosa from any and all scrutiny at all costs. She has degenerated this parliament into a place of violence, censorship, and an arena where the Constitution is disrespected and violated. She has no shame that women were sexually assaulted under her watch as a female Speaker. Mrs. Mapisa Ngakula is a mistake of history and a step backwards for women leadership in this country. As the EFF, we table this motion of no confidence in the Speaker because under her, the gains of our democracy are being reversed at a rapid rate. If she is to continue as a Speaker, then the ruling party and its president will continue to loot state resources, launder money, evade tax, and violate the Constitution without any accountability. Her lack of tolerance for African opposition in this parliament is not acceptable and reaffirms to us that she is the Speaker of a puppet government that suffers from a severe inferiority complex. As the EFF, we have long withdrawn any respect that they have offered to her. And this was made final when she resorted to calling democratically elected African members of parliament animals. She will go down the same empty path of her predecessor, Ms. Baleka Mbete, who is now in the dustbin of history for the same conduct she's exhibiting in this 6th democratically parliament. There is no future, there is no legacy, and there is no honor in defending corruption. And Mrs. Nosiviwe Mapisa Ngakula will learn this harsh lesson when we remove her political party from power in 2024. She will be remembered as an instrument of corruption, violence, and the descent of this parliament into heaven for dictatorship who deploy the military to suppress peaceful protests. Ms. Nosiviwe Ngakula is a tool for a president who has failed to lead South Africa and is fast taking this country towards collapse. She is nothing but a puppet whose legacy will be enhancing the sexual assault of women and enabling corruption and crushing the voices of accountability in Parliament. Like a handler, she must be removed, and she must be removed now. Thank you.
Honorable Malema, I want to speak to you. First, I want to say that you're a commander-in-chief. Your party decided on that name. They respect you for that. Nothing wrong. But you must remember one thing. A commander-in-chief actually is a person with certain features, like characteristics.
Honourable Member, your time has expired. Thank you.
Can I?
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
I will. Can I just conclude?
No.
Can I conclude?
No, Honourable Member, your time has expired. Thank you.
You're lucky. I'll address you next time. Because you don't act like the commander-in-chief.
Honourable Member. All honourable members, the next
Permission from the Chief Whip to speak about scrotums, because that's what we are invited to talk about. But we are going to characterize people who like talking about scrotums. You know, when we were young, we used to go to swimming by the river. And of course, we would swim naked. The character that analyzes other people's scrotums and anything that is linked to those scrotums is the one that had the smallest one. That is why you will see Honorable Malema saying, I've got you by scrotums. It's because he understands that we have the biggest and he has the smallest. If he knew that we had the smallest, he will be saying this. But let's debate the motion.
No, thank you very much, House Chair. Before I deal with the correctness of the motion that has been tabled here, we want to deal quickly with what the presiding officer did earlier of welcoming a delegation from the British Parliament, a racist institution that formalized colonialism here in South Africa, an institution that is overseeing British territories that are responsible for tax avoidance, for profit shifting, and illicit financial flows. Majority of Africa and South Africa's resources are being looted under the custodianship and oversight of this racist institution. So the delegation from the British Parliament are not welcome here. They represent a neo-colonial government. So they must not leave here thinking that they were unanimously welcomed by the Parliament of South Africa. They're not welcome. And we must tell them that when we take power in 2024, we're going to disengage from that nonsensical Commonwealth Parliament and all these other platforms. Now, Section 83 of the Constitution obliges a president to defend and respect the Constitution. And Section 96 of the Constitution prohibits any member of cabinet, including a president, from undertaking any other paid work. In terms of the laws that govern this country, the sole currency that can be utilized to trade goods and services, including buffaloes, is the rand in South Africa. It's not so in Zimbabwe currently, Namibia, and Lesotho, and in Eswatini. But in South Africa, the sole currency that you can utilize to trade goods and services is the rand. Now, your president has admitted that he has been selling buffaloes using foreign currency, the dollar. That is violation of South Africa's laws. That is beyond reasonable doubt a violation of South Africa's laws. It is therefore a violation of the Constitution without any doubt in terms of what should happen. But also the Customs and Excise Act here in South Africa obliges everyone who brings foreign currency to declare that currency if it's upward of 25,000 rands. There's 580, well now they admitted 580,000 US dollars. You can multiply that by 20, you will know what it is in rand terms, which was not declared. And a sitting head of state has willingly and knowingly traded. He says to the public, to the people of South Africa, that I've been engaging in trade using foreign currency. And as this institution, which is supposed to hold him accountable, we must fold our arms. We cannot do that. We must establish this ad hoc committee to investigate everything, including the police that were involved in chasing the people who want to take the money in Palapala, so that we can get to the bottom of this, because we cannot have a lawless country where the sitting police commissioner is involved in pursuit of criminals in a criminal way. So we must have to establish this committee in the same way that the Nkandla ad hoc committee was established. So we stand as the EFF to support that we should establish the ad hoc committee to subpoena Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, who is involved in businesses. He takes this task of president as a part-time job. We must hold him accountable here. We must subpoena everyone, including the police that were involved in this illegal activity. And we can tell you now that if
Honourable Member, your time
beyond objective and sensible reason, and we're going to take it to a further process moving forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Speaker, whether you like it or not, Parliament is the highest stage of protest. And when people exercise their right to protest, even at this level, you should never call that a threat to the president. Because what we did on the day when we came to the stage, we were carrying placards with our hands up. A person with hands up can never be a threat, can only be a threat to non-thinkers and who don't know how threat gets to be conducted. So it is entirely wrong to say that the president was under threat. Secondly, you must be removed not because there are so many things you have to do. There are certain things that if you do this one wrong, it doesn't even have to be subjected to any process. To call police on the stage with a gun. What if that policeman discharges that firearm on a member of parliament? He gets triggered, charges a firearm on a member of parliament. That will be in your hands because you have a responsibility, Speaker, to protect members of parliament. And you can't fail to protect members of parliament and still want to proceed to preside over such people that you have failed to preside on. You must have a lot of patience, which you don't have. And you should have asked the one who came before you. She exercised that patience to the latter. Mam Tandi will never do what you did. She gave us opportunity to raise our voice. She gave us an opportunity to participate in this parliament without fear or favor. But what you did on that day was deliberate to intimidate members of parliament. And once you intimidate members of parliament, parliament will never ever hold the executive accountable. We are here to do one thing and one thing only, is to hold the executive accountable, and we must do so without fear or favor. We have not broken any law, whether you like it or not. And on many occasions, the court has agreed with us that the EFF is actually correct, even when in the previous parliament you wanted to take our salaries because we're holding the executive accountable. The court said you are wrong.
Honourable Malema, just take your seat, please. I see a hand of the member at the back. Why are you rising, Honourable Member? Order, Honourable Member, don't do that again. I have not recognized you have no right to address the Assembly. That member is on his feet on a point of order. Let me hear his point of order.
I wanted to check if Honourable Malema agrees with Honourable Mifawule that is...
No, Honourable Member, that's not a point of order. That's a point for the debate. Please take your seat. Continue, Honourable Malema.
I fully agree with him. I agree with what Honorable Mataule said. I agree with that. Yes. Now, what is important, Speaker, is that you have to be the most patient person, impartial person, and you know you don't have those two qualities. And the parliament can never function because of your attitude towards members of the opposition. On that day, you took out people out on the basis of being members of a political party. The people you never called their names, the people you never warned before, like you did with other members, you warn them, take them out. You never did that. All you did was to be impatient with anything that looked red, and you removed from parliament. As to the issue of sexual harassment, that matter was brought to attention, and you did some investigation during the president's budget speech, and you did some investigation and you dismissed members of parliament, the women who said men were touching our breasts. That matter was raised, and someone comes here and says, no, we are raising an unfounded allegation. We believe our women. Don't say 2 minutes, just be patient. I told you I'm in charge. Whether it's small or big, I'm in charge. You can't do anything about it. I speak beyond the minutes offered to me. You know why? I'm in charge.
Honorable member,
you can jump
your time is now expired. Thank you very much.
The EFF doesn't have confidence in the
Honorable member
of this parliament.
Your time has expired.
We want you to fall. It might not be today, but you must know your time
has expired.
Make sure that you fall.